What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope things are going well for you. And we've got assorted, mostly coaching related news. And some of it is directly affecting the Seahawks, some of it a little more indirectly. But let's go ahead and take a look. This just encompasses basically the stuff we've learned over the last 2 days, maybe three. So some of this stuff is kind of old news, but I didn't feel the need to attack the news like it was the most important thing in the world the moment it came out. So I thought I'd go ahead and sit on it until you could do a little bit of a roundup, where instead of trying to spend 10 minutes talking about something that warrants talking about it for maybe 2 minutes, you just spend 2 minutes talking about it and then you have other things to talk about. So the first thing, this one directly relates to the Seahawks. We are losing another member of our staff. We already lost one of our front office guys, the what was he, the assistant vice president under Schneider, went to the Raiders, and that makes sense because he came here with Carroll, and he's a Carroll guy, so he wants to go work with Carroll. So that was kind of the first one, and this is, to my knowledge, the second one as of me recording this video. The New York Jets have hired Charles London as their quarterback coach. Charles London was the quarterback coach for the Seahawks last year. He spent 1 year here. I think he was with the Titans the year before. It's really hard to know who is responsible for what when you're looking at the results of a football team. But Charles London is somebody who we were probably just going to let go no matter what. So I don't think this really affects us, right? We hired a new offensive coordinator. The new offensive coordinator will likely want his own guys, and we've already seen indications that he does want his own guys. So Charles London being let go was probably already in the works, and this just gives him a soft landing spot with the Jets. If you take a look at the Seahawks quarterbacks last year, I think that Geno Smith played fine. His numbers were not as good, but that was mostly because he encountered a string of bad luck with interceptions versus the good luck he had in 2022 and the average luck he had in 2023. I don't think that's Charles London's fault. It is worth noting that Sam Howell looked worse in Seattle than he did in Washington the year before. That might be something that you put on Charles London's shoulders, but again, I'm hesitant to attribute that to him when there are plenty of other guys, including Sam Howell himself, that you could attribute it to. So, not going to say much about that. But Charles London is gone, and there's already work being done to replace him. In fact, there was work being done to replace him before he got hired. Two names so far. We have an interview coming up, or maybe it's already happened. I think it's coming up, though. An interview with Andrew Janocko, the quarterback coach at the New Orleans Saints. So this was the quarterback coach under Kubiak with New Orleans, now potentially coming to Seattle, which that's kind of a no-brainer. That makes a lot of sense. If you are Clint Kubiak, you probably want to bring at least a couple of guys from New Orleans to work under you because you have familiarity with them. Now, I don't know a ton about Andrew Janocko in terms of what he's done. Obviously, last year, I guess Derek Carr was playing really well until he got hurt, but he got hurt pretty quickly, so it's not a big sample size. And once they went to Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener, and then everybody else got hurt, it never really got better. So I don't think you can put that on Janocko, but I can't say too much about him as a coach, so it seems like a good idea. There's also an interview coming up with Christian Jones, assistant quarterback coach with the Giants. And the Browns apparently also want this guy, so there's a little bit of competition here. Now, the quarterbacking situation with the Giants for some time now has been pretty dour. It's been pretty bad. And I don't know how excited we can be based off the exploits of Daniel Jones and Drew Lock and Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito these last couple of years. So I'm not really going to speak too much on that because if you look at that stuff, there's really not much you can find. Um, those are the two guys who are currently near the top of the list at the moment. I think that it makes sense. It's just kind of common sense to prefer Janako because of the Kubiak connection. But at the end of the day, we as football fans, even the people who throw a lot of time and effort into this stuff, can only know so much about coaches. Most of the work they do is behind the scenes, behind the curtain. We don't get to know what they're really doing. We don't get to know what kind of effect that they're having, positive or negative. Like, just Charles London's a great example. Sam Howell was not as good as he was last year, the year before, but was that Ryan Grubb's fault? Like, Sam Howell looked like the punter getting thrown out there against the Packers, but maybe that's Ryan Grubb's fault. It's hard to know. So we just have to go along with it. All right, so that's basically the Seahawks stuff I wanted to talk about in this video, just to get an idea of what they're losing and what they're looking at to replace what they've lost. Nothing too huge yet, but a couple of fun things happened in the last. This is actually the last day. The Raiders. I have no idea how this is going to work. This seems like the worst idea possible. But it is the Raiders, so maybe it is the worst idea possible, and they're okay with that. I don't know. The Raiders have hired Chip Kelly as their offensive coordinator. So, a very headstrong offensive coordinator with NFL head coaching experience coming off a national championship, who was considered to be like the tip of the spear of offensive innovation for much of his career, is going back to the NFL to coach under a head coach who is obsessed with ball control and avoiding turnovers and protecting the defense. When Chip Kelly, I think it's not even an insult to say that he will hang his defense out to dry for the benefit of his offense. He will. He will run the team on and off the field so quickly offensively, either via scoring or via 3 and out, that the defense doesn't even have a chance to get Gatorade before they have to go back on the field. And you're going to put that with Pete Carroll? Again, this doesn't directly affect the Seahawks in any real way other than the fact that it affects Pete Carroll, but this seems like the worst idea in human history. This seems like a disaster waiting to happen. I don't think Pete Carroll's going to be okay when his defense is forced to play 42 minutes a game because Chip Kelly is motoring his guys on and off the field like it's a NASCAR pit crew. So that's interesting. And also, thought I'd go ahead and throw this out there. Jordan Schultz reports Ryan Grubb landed on his feet. Going to Alabama as the offensive coordinator. Kind of surprised they would take him back after what happened last year, but Kalen DeBoer, good with him. Bringing him back as the OC. Not sure if DeBoer's going to give up his play calling or if Grubb's going to take a back seat for a year or two. I don't know how this is going to work. But, yeah, Ryan Grubb did land on his feet, and he'll probably be good at Alabama. Alabama's going to give him the offensive line he needs to execute his game plan. He's going to give him the dominant athletes that are much, much better than the opposing defenders in 97% of circumstances, and he'll be able to exploit mismatches all day long. But that's what Ryan Grubb needs to be successful. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. That's the latest.